In the dark current, Wong Lin slowly stepped out. His expression was calm, his white robe barely touched by the seawater, undisturbed as if not a trace of it had stained him. His white hair hung down his shoulder, untouched by the sea, as he coldly gazed at the two green devil continent cultivators standing before the white tiger. Wong Lin. The white tiger was taken aback. Beside him, the vermilion bird and black tortoise were equally stunned. Clearly, they hadn't expected to encounter Wong Lin here. Wong Lin nodded at the three of them, then shifted his gaze to the two green devil continent cultivators. The cultivator surnamed Qian's eyes flashed with killing intent. Wong Lin's arrival didn't make him feel any sense of danger. To him, Wong Lin's cultivation was merely at the peak ethereal stage, not a threat. However, he did need to be cautious of Wong Lin's concealment abilities. This person must be skilled in concealment. Otherwise, there's no way he could have appeared before me so easily without me noticing. The cultivator surnamed Qian sneered, his body not slowing down. Instead, he accelerated, transforming into a streak of light and charging directly toward Wong Lin. Since you are acquainted, then today, all of you will stay. On the road to the Yellow Springs, you can accompany each other. In stark contrast to the cultivator surnamed Qian, the pale-faced youth immediately tensed up the moment Wong Lin arrived. His pupils contracted sharply, and his body froze for a moment before quickly retreating. Although this person appears ordinary, there's a thick, invisible, bloody aura around him. He must have killed many in this alchemy sea. The pale-faced youth's cultivation was extremely sensitive to blood, and the moment he saw Wong Lin, that suffocating bloodlust, invisible to others, assaulted him, making it hard for him to breathe. As he retreated, he raised his right hand to cover his right eye, leaving only his left eye exposed. The pupil of his left eye rotated mysteriously, and suddenly, as he looked through it, he saw thousands of vengeful spirits surrounding Wong Lin's body. These spirits were all from the green devil continent cultivators Wong Lin had killed in the alchemy sea earlier. The moment he saw this, the pale-faced youth shuddered. Without notifying his companions, he rapidly retreated, his body moving at full speed. The contrast between the two cultivators, one advancing and the other retreating, was striking. Seeking death, Wong Lin sneered. As the cultivator surnamed Qian approached, Wong Lin raised his right hand and swung it. Black gas instantly spread from his hand, forming a low growl. It was the EC puppet, which suddenly manifested from the mist. Its crimson tongue flicked out, and its body, grinning with cruelty, charged at the cultivator surnamed Qian. Though the cultivator surnamed Qian was skilled, compared to EC, he was like a speck of dust against a mountain. The moment EC appeared, the cultivator surnamed Qian's eyes widened. His hair stood on end, and a life-threatening crisis flooded over him like a tsunami, nearly drowning him. At that moment, his body twisted strangely, and without hesitation, he changed direction, rapidly retreating to avoid the EC's onslaught, intending to flee. Damn it! How does he have such a powerful puppet? What is this person's identity to possess a puppet at the early void tribulation stage? The cultivator surnamed Qian's face was filled with terror, but his speed was far slower than EC's. As he retreated, EC quickly caught up, enveloping the cultivator in black mist. The sound of a thunderous roar echoed, followed by muffled grunts and splashes of blood as the mist swirled. As for the pale-faced youth, who had immediately chosen to flee, he was now filled with fear as he rapidly backed away. In an instant, he created distance from Wong Lin, and, in a flash of his body, he was about to merge with the formation's seal and escape. Wong Lin's expression remained calm as he looked at the green devil continent cultivators retreating in the distance. He raised his right hand and grasped at the air. The sea's dark currents stirred violently, and the ripples transformed into a massive arm, which reached directly for the pale-faced youth. With a loud crash, the youth's fan suddenly opened. The front of the fan depicted a scene of galloping horses. As the fan opened, the sound of horse neighs echoed, and at the same time, phantom steeds materialized from the seawater beside the youth. In the blink of an eye, they filled the space behind him, creating a stampede of horses. The sea trembled as the phantom horses surged forward, colliding with the massive arm Wong Lin had created. The booming sounds echoed through the alchemy sea, causing massive waves and forming a colossal vortex. The vortex spun violently, making the sea churn rapidly. With a final roar, Wong Lin's phantom arm vanished, along with the thousands of phantom horses. The youth, however, quickly flashed and disappeared into the formation. Meanwhile, at the Green Devil Continent's direction, by the 3 flags on the sea's surface, the pale-faced youth appeared beside the woman holding the compass plate. As he materialized, he spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale, and his eyes, "There's been an accident, Senior Brother Qian. The situation looks grim. When did such a cultivator appear in the Heavenly Bull Continent? His name is Wong Lin. We need to inform the sect immediately." He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and spoke slowly. The woman beside him kept her eyes fixed on the compass in her hand, her gaze focused on the white, representing Wong Lin. "He's trapped in the formation. He can't escape. And I've already reported this to the sect. The 3 ancestors have sent Senior Brother Yun Kong, and after him, the combined forces of the 3 sects alliance have already been mobilized. Once Senior Brother Yun Kong refines the Alchemy Sea into that half-immortal pill and destroys the Heavenly Bull Continent's barrier, it will all be over." After a long silence, a murderous gleam flashed in the woman's eyes, and she spoke in a low voice. "Senior Brother Yun Kong." The young man, whose face was as white as jade, immediately revealed admiration upon hearing the name. The name Yun Kong was famous across the Green Devil Continent, and even in the entire Eastern Continent. His reputation was legendary. Yun Kong, one of the 4 great prodigies of the Eastern Continent. His sect had no fixed allegiance, and all 3 of the major sects on the Green Devil Continent were his affiliations. He had the freedom to learn any technique from the 3 sects, and was the eldest senior brother of all disciples in the continent's sects. It's said that years ago, Senior Brother Yun Kong went to the northern continent to seek guidance under the great heavenly venerable Wufeng. His cultivation is now unfathomable, and with his arrival, Wong Lin is certain to die. The jade-faced youth's expression changed, clearly excited. Meanwhile, on Wong Lin's side, the Qian cultivator was no match for the EC puppet. The battle ended quickly with a scream, as the Qian cultivator's body collapsed, and all his blood was drained by the EC, leaving only his soul. According to Wong Lin's previous instructions, the soul was not consumed. In front of the White Tiger trio, Wong Lin began searching through the Qian cultivator's soul, his expression calm, until he finished the search. Only then did he release the soul, and as the EC puppet's tongue flicked to consume it, Wong Lin sealed the soul away with a swift motion. The EC puppet froze, its eyes filled with fierce light, glaring at Wong Lin as it let out a low growl. "I still have use for this one." Wong Lin looked at the EC puppet, his calm eyes hiding a surge of overwhelming killing intent. The EC's growl slowly weakened under Wong Lin's gaze, lowering its head, no longer snarling. As Wong Lin's cultivation rose, the mark he left on the EC puppet became increasingly deep. If it weren't for reaching its limits, the EC would not have so strongly resisted Wong Lin's commands. "Old friends, it's been many years. I never expected to meet you here." Wong Lin turned around and smiled, cupping his fists towards the White Tiger trio. The 3 of them sighed, feeling sentimental. Wong Lin, with the Green Devil Continent stepping in, it must strike like a thunderous blow. The Alchemy Sea has likely already been ravaged, with most of the cultivators from the Heavenly Bull Continent slaughtered. How do we leave?" Xuanwu sighed deeply, looking at Wong Lin. "The Green Devil Continent isn't entering the Heavenly Bull for the first time. I recall there have been a few attempts in the past, but they were all blocked by the barrier formation set up by the Great Soul Sect and the Unity Sect's ancestors. However, this time, the Green Devil Continent's action is a massacre of the scattered cultivators of the Alchemy Sea, so their intentions must be grand." Zhu Ke said with a thoughtful expression. "This place's heaven and earth have been covered by the Green Devil Continent's influence. I fear the Great Soul Sect and Unity Sect are still unaware of the events here. As people of the Heavenly Bull Continent, if we can leave, we must send the message out immediately." White Tiger spoke in a deep voice. "There's no time for lengthy discussion. We should leave first," Wong Lin said, flicking his sleeve, and immediately, many undercurrents rose from beneath the sea, sweeping the White Tiger trio forward. As they sped along, the four of them encountered several Green Devil Continent cultivators. Whenever they crossed paths, Wong Lin would ignite his ethereal flame, killing swiftly and disappearing. But soon, as they advanced, the Green Devil Continent cultivators grew fewer, and eventually, it seemed as though they had all vanished without a trace. Something's wrong. Wong Lin's gaze sharpened. His previous position was already near the edge of the Heavenly Bull Continent. Yet after speeding forward for a while, the seabed began to rise. The four of them quickly shot up and broke through the surface of the sea. The sky was pitch black, and there was no moon tonight. The world around them was shrouded in darkness, and even the sea appeared murky. The only sounds were the gusts of wind carrying large waves, crashing and booming, occasionally giving off a faint fishy smell from the foamy waves. Breaking through the surface of the sea, the four stood in the sky, surrounded by silence, except for the sounds of the ocean. The White Tiger trio sensed something was amiss, and their eyes flickered as they scanned the surroundings. The area was enveloped in darkness, and the direction of the Heavenly Bull Continent could only be vaguely seen as a dark silhouette. You three protect me. I'll investigate this formation's restriction to see how powerful its sealing force is. Wong Lin tightened his mind, paused for a moment, then raised his right hand and pressed down towards the divine sense merged with the vast sea, making it extremely difficult to detect. After completing this, Wong Lin's eyes immediately filled with bloodshot veins. In an instant, his entire pupils were completely replaced by fine blood patterns, making them appear quite terrifying. With these eyes, which contained the essence of the restriction's origin, Wong Lin looked towards the sky. Upon this gaze, his expression immediately changed. The pitch-black sky was covered by layers of thin mist. This mist was invisible to the naked eye, and even divine sense could not perceive it. Only Wong Lin, with his eyes infused with the essence of restriction, could clearly see it with his origin vision. 1 layer, 3 layers, 7 layers. Although the mist in the sky was thin, there were as many as 7 layers. These 7 layers of mist enveloped the entire Alchemy Sea, boundless, like a giant bowl turned upside down, covering the Alchemy Sea and the land beneath. Above these 7 layers was a compass. The compass appeared as a phantom, slowly rotating, releasing waves of pressure that merged with the 7 layers of mist. This compass is an illusion and not a real object. Wong Lin's gaze sharpened. As he looked, he vaguely noticed a wisp of energy emanating from the compass behind the 7 layers of mist, extending towards the distant Alchemy Sea. The core of this array must have transformed into a physical object at that location. Wong Lin focused his attention and looked into the depths of the Alchemy Sea, his eyes flashing as a thought emerged. To transform his true body, Wong Lin's essence of restriction needed to absorb various types of restriction. This massive array, which enveloped the entire Alchemy Sea, was unlike anything Wong Lin had ever seen. This stirred his interest. However, this intrigue was quickly suppressed. His right hand lifted, and with a sweep of his sleeve, 2 enormous pupils appeared behind him. These pupils were illusions, but the red glow that flashed briefly seemed to dispel the surrounding darkness. After the 2 enormous bloodless pupils appeared behind him, Wong Lin immediately sat cross-legged and focused on the sky. His eyes flickered with intent as he planned to break the restriction array as quickly as possible. As his eyes shifted with intent, the 2 enormous pupils behind him radiated the same intent, staring intensely at the sky, searching for a way to crack the 7 layers of mist. Gradually, Wong Lin's eyes became more bloodshot, and the 2 huge pupils behind him were the same. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Bai Hu and the others wore serious expressions, cautiously observing their surroundings to protect Wong Lin. Whether they could escape depended entirely on whether Wong Lin could break the array. After another half-incense stick's time, Wong Lin's eyes gleamed with brilliance. His right hand suddenly lifted, and he consecutively made 3 gestures toward the sky. With each finger pointed, a blood thread emerged from the 2 enormous pupils behind him, shooting straight towards the sky. Others could not see it, but in Wong Lin's vision, each blood thread shot out from his 3 fingers and entered the gaps in the first layer of mist. After the 3 fingers fell, the 3 blood threads completely entered the first layer of mist, intertwining to form a circle. This circle was precisely one of the few tiny apertures in the thin mist of the first layer. Though it was small, it was large enough for a person to pass through. 7 layers of mist, each one constantly shifting. Breaking this array is no simple task. Wong Lin pondered, his eyes locked on the sky. After waiting for a moment, his hands suddenly raised, and he flicked his fingers 9 times. With each flick, a red thread flew out. Wong Lin observed that these 9 threads pierced through the first layer's tiny circular aperture that he had set up with the essence of restriction. After passing through this aperture, the 9 threads immediately divided into 4, finding a similar sparse area in the second layer of mist. They connected to form the second circular hole. Simultaneously, the remaining 5 red threads pierced through the second layer's circle, following the same method, and set up a similar circular hole in the third layer. Thus, for the first 3 layers, Wong Lin had found a way to break through. All of this was invisible to Bai Hu and the others. At this moment, the 3 of them looked serious, occasionally casting anxious glances at Wong Lin. After all, quite some time had passed, and no cultivator from the Green Devil continent had appeared. This situation felt eerie, like the calm before a storm, creating a highly oppressive atmosphere. Wong Lin remained calm. His focus was entirely on the 7-layer restriction array. The more he tried to deduce, the more immense the array felt. Beyond the 4th layer, the sparse apertures similar to the first 3 layers became rarer, and even deducing seemed difficult. However, with the essence of restriction, Wong Lin relied not only on deduction but more on his primal vision. Under his gaze, after another brief moment, Wong Lin's eyes suddenly flashed, and his hands quickly rose. He flicked his fingers 17 times in rapid succession. 17 blood-red threads shot into the air, piercing through the circular apertures of the first 3 layers. In the 4th layer, 6 of these threads connected and solidified, forming a much smaller circle within the dense mist. The remaining threads sped onward, connecting within the 5th layer, so that all the first 5 layers now had small circular apertures that could be passed through. But at that very moment, the Alchemy sea rumbled. The sea roared violently, its sound shaking the heavens and earth. The entire ocean seemed to split in 2, with a long line running down the center, the waters rushing away with a tremendous roar. This scene came without warning, causing White Tiger and the others to change expressions. As they were about to unleash their divine powers, Wong Lin's pupils contracted. Without hesitation, he stood up abruptly. The giant pupil illusions behind him rapidly dissipated. With a swift flick of his sleeve, a violent gust of wind swept up White Tiger and the others, and his body transformed into a streak of light, shooting toward the sky. At the very moment Wong Lin and the others ascended toward the sky, an indescribably terrifying sword aura exploded from the line in the sea that seemed to divide the waters. This wasn't a line at all. It was clearly a sword slash. The sword slashed from beneath the sea, splitting the waters apart with a force that shook the heavens and earth. The sea roared as the sword's shadow completely emerged from the sea. The ocean surface thundered and was split in 2, revealing the pitch-black seabed between the parts. The sword's shadow was tens of thousands of feet long, carving its way through the sea and slashing at the sky, charging directly at Wong Lin and the others. Upon feeling the sword intent, White Tiger and the others immediately turned pale. Especially Vermilion Bird and Black Tortoise, who were already gravely injured, suddenly coughed up blood, their eyes filled with terror. This is the Sword Tao, a lifetime spent not cultivating the will of heaven and earth, but instead focusing solely on the sword, merging one's will with the sword, one's body with the sword, annihilating all natural instincts, even turning oneself into a sword. Black Tortoise, well-versed in the ways of cultivation, gasped in shock. The sword's shadow was incredibly fast, closing in within moments. But Wong Lin had already flown ahead of it. Just as the sword neared, he, along with White Tiger and the others, transformed into a streak of light, darting through the small aperture of the first layer of mist without any hesitation, piercing through the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th layers. Behind them, the sword's shadow slammed into the restriction formation, its roar echoing. The mist in the first 3 layers was swept away by the sword aura, collapsing instantly. The remaining shockwaves carried the will within the sword shadow and surged into the 4th layer, causing the mist there to shatter with a thunderous explosion. One sword destroyed 4 layers of the formation. Even Wong Lin couldn't help but inhale sharply at the overwhelming power. He could clearly sense, within the 5th layer of mist, a tremor. A tyrannical will, as if the sword held dominion over heaven and earth, surged toward him, bombarding his mind. Wong Lin took a deep breath. Though this will was only a lingering thought, he could still feel its overwhelming dominance. Regardless of this person's cultivation, just this sword alone must make him a person of great renown in the Green Devil continent. Wong Lin's eyes flashed. With White Tiger and the others, whose eyes now glowed red with bloodshot veins, he dashed toward the 6th layer. The mist in the 6th layer had grown thick and impenetrable, yet as Wong Lin sped through, he continuously made hand seals, summoning restriction blood threads that rapidly formed into a dense web. After several breaths, the threads met the mist of the 6th layer. With a booming sound, Wong Lin, along with White Tiger and the others, forcibly broke through to the 6th layer. Yunkong is here, having traveled from 1,000 mountains. Fellow cultivator, why leave in such a hurry? A deep voice echoed across the sea. The sword shadow that had obliterated the first 4 layers of mist transformed into a figure clad in green robes. The cultivator appeared to be a young man, his attire simple and unadorned, with only a green robe and long hair cascading over his shoulders. His face was handsome, but his expression was icy and aloof. In his hand, he held a 7-foot-long sword, which glinted with cold, sharp light in the darkness of the night. This was not Yunkong's true form, but rather his sword intent clone. Despite being a clone, it carried nearly 60% of his true sword intent. As he spoke, Yunkong raised his head and stepped forward, heading straight for the 5th layer of mist. He raised his right hand, and the sword in his grasp swung toward the sky. With a single sweep, a crescent moon sword shadow roared upward, shattering the invisible mist of the 5th layer, allowing Yunkong to see Wong Lin, who had just entered the 6th layer and was coldly as for Yunkong. His mind was also ringing, and his gaze towards the sky suddenly revealed an unusual expression. I originally thought that, aside from those old fools, only Yunifeng from the Heavenly Bull continent could catch my interest. I never expected that today I would encounter another one. The coldness in those eyes. This person is also a ruthless and heartless individual. Yunkong smiled faintly, holding his sword, and walked towards the sky. Wong Lin charged into the 6th layer, with only the 7th layer remaining. Once he broke through, he could lead Bai Hu and the others out of the alchemical sea restriction array. However, time was not on Wong Lin's side. The mist in the 7th layer was dense, and it was impossible to find a gap in a short amount of time. Additionally, there was the cultivator named Yunkong behind him. As Wong Lin's gaze flickered in the 6th layer, his footstep caused the clouds to ripple. In that instant, it seemed as though sword chi was about to burst forth. His eyes turned red, and suddenly, 2 enormous blood-red pupils appeared behind him. Seal the origin. Merge this restriction array with the origin. Wong Lin shouted in a low voice, and the 2 giant pupils behind him suddenly shattered. Countless threads of blood swirled into the air, thousands upon thousands, surrounding Wong Lin and transforming into a red meteor, shooting straight toward the 7th layer. At the moment Wong Lin broke through, the mist in the 6th layer collapsed with a bang. Sword chi surged forth, as if trying to destroy everything. The sword intent within was earth-shattering. Fellow Taoists, stay. Yunkong's deep voice echoed. As the sword chi shattered the 6th layer, it rapidly condensed and transformed into a sword shadow, charging straight towards Wong Lin. If this sword chi blocked him, Wong Lin would not be able to break through the 7th layer. Danger loomed, but Wong Lin had faced countless enemies in his life. The more dangerous the situation, the calmer his expression became, and his thoughts were extremely composed. In the split second that the sword chi howled towards him, Wong Lin suddenly turned around. He raised his right hand, and behind him, the fire primordial true body materialized. With a palm that seemed to support the heavens, the mist in the seventh layer immediately began to churn. A massive handprint appeared with a thunderous boom. Soul subjugation seal. And it wasn't just one. Wong Lin's fire primordial true body raised his right hand as well. Behind the first giant handprint, a fiery handprint of burning flames appeared. The two handprints, one in front and one behind, struck down at the sword Qi. At the same time, beneath Wong Lin and Yun Kong, in the sea water split by the sword Qi. Wong Lin had left behind a trace of divine sense merged with the sea. At this moment, he suddenly sensed Wong Lin's will. Immediately, the sea surged with massive waves. From the rolling waters, a huge handprint made of seawater emerged with a deafening crash. As the handprint appeared, the sea visibly shrank, as if all of it was being gathered by the handprint, which was then thrust into the sky. 3 handprints, 2 on top and 1 below, all flew straight towards Yun Kong and his sword Qi. Wong Lin's handprint was the first to approach. In an instant, it collided with the sword Qi, creating a loud, rumbling sound. The handprint shattered, and at the same time, the fiery handprint from his primordial true body descended with a bang. At this moment, the seawater handprint formed from the water essence had already risen into the sky, charging towards Yun Kong and the sword Qi. This scene was a fusion of water and fire. It was a simultaneous assault from the fire handprint and the water handprint. As the two massive handprints of water and fire neared each other, the seawater instantly released large amounts of mist, as if trying to dry out. Similarly, the fire primordial handprint seemed to be on the verge of extinguishing under the spreading steam. But because both the water and fire were Wong Lin's origins, all of it was manifested from his body. Instead of extinguishing, the power became even more formidable. Even Wong Lin did not anticipate that the simultaneous use of water and fire essences would have such an effect. The seawater handprint began to boil violently, releasing vast amounts of steam, while the fire primordial handprint became even fiercer, almost reaching the heavens. At this moment, even Yun Kong's expression grew serious. He swept his sword, and the fire handprint suddenly descended, clashing with the sword shadow. Then, the water handprint followed closely behind. With a deafening crash, the water and fire handprints collided with Yun Kong and his sword Qi. The explosion continued as water and fire merged in that instant, releasing a power far greater than either essence alone. This force was Qi. Qi, a rare and elusive origin power in the world, could not simply be possessed. It could only be formed by someone who had mastered both water and fire essences, condensing them together into a new form of origin. This origin was even more precious than a single essence. The moment the Qi origin appeared, the water and fire palm seal shattered simultaneously. However, the sword Qi of Yun Kong also completely collapsed for the first time. A surge of destructive force blasted outward, rumbling and sweeping in all directions. Wong Lin's body shot backward, and he used the force of the explosion to carry him through the 7th layer of the restrictions mist, along with Bai Hu and the others, straight toward the mist. Yun Kong staggered and, amid the collapse of the water and fire palm seal, took several steps back. Just then, a sudden roar echoed. Wong Lin's EC puppet, which had been released without notice, lunged at Yun Kong, its grim expression fierce and swift, charging toward him with terrifying speed. In an instant, the puppet's pitch-black claws reached for Yun Kong. The timing was perfect. The murderous aura engulfed Yun Kong, and his face changed. He bit down on his tongue, and at the moment the EC puppet attacked, he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. The blood instantly transformed into a blood-colored sword Qi, crashing toward the EC puppet. The events unfolded too quickly. In the blink of an eye, the sword Qi landed on the EC puppet, severing its right arm. The puppet let out a heartbreaking scream and staggered back. However, its severed arm strangely transformed into 5 strands of black mist, which shot into Yun Kong's body at an unimaginable speed. Yun Kong grunted, blood spilling from the corner of his mouth. The 5 black strands, carrying immense murderous energy, wreaked havoc inside him, and they were nearly impossible to expel. This was because within the black mist, there was also the power of the Tao ancient lineage. Yun Kong, don't try to fight back. We will meet again in the future. Wong Lin's loud voice echoed across the sky. As Yun Kong looked up while retreating, he saw the EC puppet, now devoid of its right arm, turn into a black mist and disappear, taken by Wong Lin. Wong Lin, along with Bai Hu and the others, rushed into the seventh layer of the mist. Amidst the rumbling and swirling, they vanished without a trace. After Wong Lin had been gone for a while, Yun Kong suddenly smiled, but his smile was grim and cold. This trip to the Heavenly Bull continent will certainly be interesting. Next time, I won't let you escape. A powerful figure like you should become my Yun Kong's sword furnace. Yun Kong's gaze flickered. He turned and walked toward the sea, his face pale from the earlier battle. Although he was injured, there was no time for healing. He still had to complete several tasks entrusted by the ancestors, including refining the Dan Sea and returning it to the half-immortal pill. The Dan Sea, once home to cultivators from the Heavenly Bull continent, now had no survivors. Everyone had perished. The entire Dan Sea had become the domain of the Green Devil continent. Outside the Dan Sea, atop the Heavenly Bull continent, Wong Lin's figure transformed into a long rainbow. After a brief pause in the air, blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. Wong Lin suddenly turned, his expression dark, and looked toward the Dan Sea covered by the restriction array. By who? You three should leave. I have other matters to attend to and cannot travel with you. The Great Soul Sect is far from here, but the Unity Sect is closer. If you wish to inform them, you should hurry. As for the Great Soul Sect, I will notify them myself. Wong Lin's gaze locked onto the distant Dan Sea, his eyes glinting with cold light. He raised his right hand, and a jade slip appeared. It was the message talisman from the Great Soul Sect, containing a divine sense. Wong Lin waved his hand, and the jade slip transformed into a ghostly light, speeding off. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared from sight. The message talisman, due to its structure, was several times faster than a cultivator. However, Wong Lin didn't know how long it would take for the Great Soul Sect to receive it. Upon seeing the talisman, Bai Hu and the others immediately narrowed their eyes, recognizing it as an item used within the Great Soul Sect. They exchanged glances, but their expressions held back words they seemed to want to say. I've joined the Great Soul Sect and become one of its elders, Wong Lin said, noticing their reaction as he turned his gaze away from the Dan Sea. Take care. Bai Hu and the others clasped their fists. They didn't say thanks, but the matters of the cave mansion realm, and the smile that concealed enmity, were deeply ingrained in their hearts. You too. Wong Lin smiled sincerely as he returned their salute, especially glancing at Zhu Quebec. Zhu Ke sighed faintly, as though about to speak, but in the end, stayed silent. The three of them transformed into long rainbows and sped off toward the Unity Sect. Only after they had disappeared into the distance did Wong Lin turn, his eyes filled with a flash of murderous intent as he stared back at the Dan Sea. I've never suffered such a great loss since arriving at the immortal astral continent. Yun Kong, if I don't kill you while you're injured, I, Wong Lin, will never be able to swallow this. The memory of EC's agonized scream echoed in Wong Lin's mind, filling him with pain. He knew Yun Kong's cultivation was strange, though not high. His sword intent was overwhelmingly powerful. The magical artifacts Wong Lin had won from the bet with Yin Luan had already been cleansed of Yin Luan's divine sense and became his own possessions. Particularly the gourd, which contained 30 million soul entities. If unleashed, it would be incredibly powerful, though only once. Now that he had made up his mind, Wong Lin's body flickered. His actions seemed reckless at first glance. But in reality, it was because he had determined that Yun Kong would definitely believe that once he struggled his way out, he would not return, which was why he had made this decision. To kill Yun Kong, I must first obtain the core control disk of that restriction array. This was the first person Wong Lin had truly wanted to kill since arriving at the immortal firmament continent. But Wong Lin remained extremely cautious. He tightened his cultivation aura and moved like a ghost, swiftly heading toward the distant Alchemy Sea. With each step, Wong Lin vanished into the heavens, and when he reappeared, he was already near the waters of the Green Devil continent. Here, even in the sky, many cultivators from the Green Devil continent occasionally passed by. These cultivators varied in cultivation levels, most being at the second step, with only a few in the third step. As they swept past, their divine sense spread out, sweeping across the surroundings, as if they were on guard against something. As more and more Green Devil Continent cultivators appeared, powerful figures at the profound Void Realm also began to emerge, slowing Wong Lin's progress. He pondered briefly, his eyes sharpening, and his body immediately transformed into a streak of light, diving into the invisible formations restriction. His pupils turned bloodshot as he enveloped himself in a mist and instantly sank into the formation, merging with the restriction. Wong Lin possessed the origin of restrictions. Using this, he now mimicked the formation surrounding the Alchemy Sea. For the time being, he was confident that he would not be detected. As he merged into the 7th layer of mist, Wong Lin moved cautiously through it, searching for the true core control disk of the formation. Above him, as he neared the Green Devil Continent, more and more cultivators from there appeared. These cultivators usually moved in groups of dozens, their faces serious as they whizzed by. Along the way, there must be tens of thousands of cultivators. With so many gathered here, if they aren't eyeing the Heavenly Bull Continent, no one would believe it. Wong Lin, in his mist form, silently watched the teams of Green Devil Continent cultivators overhead, inwardly sighing. The slaughter between sects and the brutal conflicts between continents existed everywhere, whether in the Abode Realm or the Immortal Firmament Continent. There is no pure land in this world. Even if there were, it would be due to the presence of those with immense cultivation who suppress all, making others too afraid to harbor any thoughts. In the silence, Wong Lin suddenly narrowed his eyes and looked up sharply. He sensed a powerful fluctuation slowly approaching from a distance. This fluctuation wasn't from a cultivator, but from a magical artifact. As his gaze fixed upon the source, he saw several hundred Green Devil Continent cultivators rushing forward. Among them, for were at the profound void stage, guarding the 4 cardinal directions like royal guards. At the center of this group was a massive drum, about 100 feet in size. This drum was pitch black. Even the drum surface was dark, surrounded by numerous vicious beasts, exuding a chilling aura that spread throughout the area. Around the drum, countless vengeful spirits swirled, silently roaring and sending out waves, which rippled outward in all directions. The drum seemed incredibly heavy, and below it, nearly 100 cultivators were using all their strength to hold it up, slowly flying through the air. The moment Wong Lin saw the drum, his eyes sharpened, and he froze in place, his body now completely still in his mist form. He could clearly feel that a cultivator was hidden within the drum. This cultivator seemed to be fused with the drum, and as they passed over Wong Lin's hidden position, a divine sense emanated from the drum, sweeping the area before dissipating. After the group of several hundred cultivators passed, Wong Lin looked at the blurry outline of the drum in the distance, falling into silence. A magical artifact combined with a cultivator. Over the course of his journey, Wong Lin saw 8 such large drums. In addition to these, he also observed several other massive magical artifacts of varying shapes, clearly prepared for sect battles. All of these magical artifacts were about 100 feet in size, emanating astonishing auras that enveloped the area, creating an immense pressure. This place is not safe. I must finish this quickly and leave. Wong Lin's heart raced, but the more anxious he became, the calmer he grew. Using the formation's energy, he carefully moved closer to the waters of the Green Devil Continent, where he vaguely sensed the presence of the formation's core. It's just ahead. Wong Lin's eyes flickered as he sped through the mist. Soon, he saw 3 flags towering towards the sky on the surface of the sea. These 3 flags fluttered in the wind, producing a loud rustling sound, and waves spread out in concentric circles, clearly something extraordinary. Under these flags stood a beautiful woman holding a compass, frowning as she stared at it. Beside her stood a familiar young man with a jade-like face, holding a fan and gazing down at the sea, seemingly lost in thought. Around them, several hundred Green Devil Continent cultivators stood like guards, motionless, sitting with their eyes closed in, including the woman. None of these people had any idea that at this very moment, high above them, within the 7th layer of mist in the invisible restriction array of the sky, Wong Lin was coldly watching them. His gaze lingered especially on the compass in the woman's hand, where he stared a few more times. This is the compass. If I get my hands on it, I no longer need to stay hidden within this formation. This compass is the only thing that can reveal when I've entered the Alchemy Sea. Wong Lin, who possessed the origin restriction, had also studied the restriction array of the Alchemy Sea and understood the critical details of it. Only by holding the compass could he avoid detection as he entered the Alchemy Sea, and then seek out Cloud Void, kill him, and safely escape. Moreover, this compass was the key to locating Cloud Void. In this vast Alchemy Sea, to find a single person, he could only rely on this compass. However, this was a dilemma. To obtain the compass, he would have to step out, and that would still alert the people below of his arrival. Everything must be done quickly. I can't let anyone escape, nor should I allow the woman to transmit any information. Wong Lin frowned as he looked at the hundreds of cultivators below, then glanced at the 3 large flags. These 3 flags are likely the same type of protective magical artifacts. This could be tricky. Wong Lin remained motionless, hidden within the mist, pondering as he gazed downward. Under the 3 flags on the sea's surface, the woman stared at the compass in her hand, her brow furrowing even more tightly. Strange, there are clearly no other cultivators from outer continents in the entire Alchemy Sea now, yet the compass still shows ripples. This is clearly the formation sensing something abnormal and reacting on its own. In the woman's hand, the compass was filled with dense green dots, not a single white light. Yet, like ripples on the water's surface, layers of waves spread across it. Her eyes flickered as her left hand made a series of gestures, pressing seals onto the compass, but she still found nothing. Her actions caught the attention of the young man holding a fan beside her. He stepped forward and glanced at the compass, offering a slight smile. Don't be paranoid. With senior brother Cloud Void around, everything will be fine. The woman fell silent for a moment before nodding. Senior brother Cloud Void has already started making his move. It won't be long before this entire Alchemy Sea disappears. Then we will finally see the legendary half-pill of immortal elixir and witness its true power. She raised her head, her gaze drifting toward the distant sea. Hidden within the mist of the sky, Wong Lin faintly overheard their conversation and noticed something in their expressions. His heart stirred. But just then, the entire Alchemy Sea suddenly erupted with a deafening roar, like the sound of roaring waves. The sea surface was immediately engulfed in a violent storm, massive waves crashing and swirling. At various locations across the Alchemy Sea, 9 enormous whirlpools appeared, slowly rotating and emanating earth-shattering rumbles. Senior brother has begun. The woman completely ignored the compass in her hand, her expression filled with anticipation as she gazed toward the distant sea. At the same time, a group of over 10 cultivators flew out from the sea beneath the 3 flags, heading directly toward the woman. This was a team of Green Devil Guards returning after completing a mission assigned by the woman. These 10 or so Green Devil cultivators moved swiftly through the sky, their appearance causing no alarm among the woman or the nearby cultivators. Clearly, such arrivals and departures were commonplace. No one noticed that hidden within the mist of the formation above, Wong Lin's eyes suddenly gleamed with a cold light. In an instant, he transformed into a wisp of smoke, and, as the group of Green Devil cultivators passed by, he darted out with incredible speed, slipping into the ear of one of the cultivators. As he entered, the cultivator froze for a moment, confusion flashing in his eyes. But that expression quickly shifted to calm, and he resumed following the group, heading quickly toward the 3 flags and the woman. However, the moment Wong Lin shot out from the mist and entered the cultivator's ear, the compass in the woman's hand suddenly trembled, as if issuing a warning. The woman froze and immediately looked down, but by the time she glanced at it, everything was already over. What's wrong? The pale-faced young man beside her noticed her change in expression and immediately asked. Something's not right. The compass just gave a warning, vibrating on its own. Someone from outside the Green Devil continent has entered the Alchemy Sea. The woman's expression turned grave. This person is skilled in hiding. I couldn't detect it earlier. Zhao senior brother, please lend me a hand. I need to reverse the compass and see what happened in that brief moment. Without hesitation, the fair-faced young man raised his right hand and placed it on the woman's back. She took a deep breath, her eyes gleaming with a strange light as she focused on the compass in her hand. Following the method taught by her master, she made a series of gestures with her left hand and continued pressing the compass. She didn't pay attention to the more than 10 green demon cultivators speeding towards her from afar, the one she had previously sent out. The group of green demon cultivators was getting closer and closer to her. A murderous gaze, barely noticeable, flickered among the group of